All right, everybody. This is, Tone. Welcome to the 30 something podcast. And I want to welcome my brothers Khalil, Josh, Thompson. And this is episode 9. And this episode is going to be very different. So we're going to focus this whole episode based off of hip hop.
Hip hop. Hip hop.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's been going on today? We're going to talk about some pretty cool topics in reference to what we're hearing in music. Also, honestly, has there been, a classic album in the last 10 years? Who is your favorite artist and why? And then, where does it appear to be the generational gap of hip-hop, and do we respect our hip-hop elders as much as we should? So, on behalf of Tone, Khalil, Josh, and Thompson, let's get it popping. Let's get it going. Because everybody's nervous about this 30-something podcast, man. There's a lot of tension in the room based off you. So, listen, I want to hear your views. So, let's start off with this topic, right? So, when it comes to, I guess, hip-hop in itself and what's going on today and what we've heard in the past month, right? Mm-hmm. You got hip-hop beefs going on. You got artists who have pretty much molded to a degree our social upbringing and literally went left in reference to Kanye. Yeah. We have Jay-Z and Beyonce who have released albums.
The market's being flooded with so much music.
Legends, Black Thoughts dropped an amazing album.
You got Nas, you got Kanye, you
It's
got
a lot
Kanye
going on.
Cudi dropped, you got A$AP Rocky dropped, you got Pusha T. You mentioned Black Thought. Drake is coming with Scorpion. Nicki Minaj is coming with Queen.
So do you feel like it's a solidified overload based off technology and they're dropping so many albums at once? Or do you feel like we can actually handle this content and soak it up?
I mean, it's a give and take. Like, on one hand, it is an amazing thing to have so much music available at our disposal, so you can just pick and choose what you want. Mm-hmm. But then again, there's so much, and music comes in so fast that you don't have enough time to digest music as much anymore. Yeah. Because before, you could actually live with the music, have it on in your house while you're doing your chores or driving around.
Front. When you pulled up today, you said you didn't get a chance to finish the whole Jay-Z and Beyonce album.
Yeah.
Based off today's time and everything is now so fast, I apologize for looking at you sideways.
It was like, you're ready to come out. What do you mean you ain't listened to the Carters yet? They're royalty, man. I listened to it 10 times before we got here.
So my apologies, right? Because sometimes I get caught up in today's time and everything moves so fast. So my expectations of everybody else is, hey, you should have heard it.
Saturday?
Right.
And it's like Wednesday and you're looking at me crazy like, why you ain't even listening to it?
Right. And it's hard. So, me personally, I've been mentally blown by, it's a lot of content out here.
Absolutely.
And I have literally put myself on a schedule where in the morning, I'll pick an album that I can listen all the way through. And then in the evening, I'll listen to somebody totally different all the way through. So I'm giving each individual artist its time because it's just too much.
How are you processing it, Lil?
Well, first and foremost, man, I just want to say rest in peace to XXXTentacion.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing my man's name correctly.
I mean, it's there.
But I know he's from down your way, from Florida.
From Deerfield.
Yeah, where the murder had took place at was in Deerfield.
Well, he's from that area.
Oh, that's where he's from? Okay. Man, that's rest in peace to the homie. You know what I mean?
And in case you guys are listening, like, we're recording this in the middle of like a thunderstorm right now.
As soon as he said his name, the thunder dropped. So that's a little odd.
So you know what Biggie and Shaq said that one time, since we're talking hip hop, you can't stop the rain.
Man, facts. Yeah, but to answer your
Shaq
question,
had a song about that too. You know that, right? Shaq Can't Stop the Rain.
Yeah, that's what he was just talking about.
Oh, okay.
that was Shaq and Biggie.
Oh, Shaq and Biggie. It was Biggie featuring Shaq featuring Biggie.
I thought you said I heard Big. I didn't hear Shaq, but yeah.
Oh,
cool.
okay, yeah.
Shout out to 3234. Okay.
but again, rest in peace to family. But to answer your question, I mean, it's a lot of music out here. You know what I mean? And it takes me an hour every morning and every evening to get back and forth to work. So when I first listened to the Pusha T joint, the Daytona joint.
That one's still on repeat.
Man, I went through the whole album before I even was, 5 or 10 minutes away from work. You know what I
Out
mean?
of every
So-
Good Friday,
so-
that's the best album that was pushed
So
out of
far.
Kanye's camp. I'm sorry,
So
I'm gonna say
far.
it. Pusha T's album, the best.
We still got
That'd be good
Tiana
music.
Taylor dropping.
Right. And then also with
They
this
need to redo other ones. So go ahead.
with this past weekend, because Friday, because the whole situation with Nas, he was supposed to come out early Friday, or at least we thought it was, just how all the other releases were, but it didn't drop until later on.
Kanye
So
dropped the ball.
once
You
I
saw
got
those memes of Nas on the computer and
On the
the
Mac,
labels like
yeah.
Nas trying to figure out how to upload the album.
yeah, so that evening I was checking it out before bed, and man, his album is dope, man. I really like his album. But the very next day I went and chopped it up with Tone, and before I even got to his crib, the Carters had just dropped, so it was a frenzy. So I'm listening to this.
That's
and,
what we call them now, the Carters.
well, that's the name of the group. It was just like Watch the Throne was
Yep.
was him and Kanye.
Yeah.
The name of their group is the Carters.
Ain't
You know what I
nobody
mean?
gonna call them the Carters.
Hmm?
Ain't nobody gonna call them the Carters.
I respect
It's
it.
Jay-Z and Beyonce. And then, if the truth be told, that album is really like Beyonce featuring Jay-Z. If I'm gonna call a spade a spade.
Yeah, I mean, however you call it. I mean, she's married to him, so she's got his last name. So technically, they are the Carters. You know, what I
I'm
mean?
just saying, just the way the album is set up, it seems like it's a Beyonce album with Jay-Z sprinkled in.
But a real
think so?
gangster though is always gonna, feature his woman and let her vibe.
Facts,
And I promise you, when you listen to this album, when Jay-Z speaks, you listening.
man.
He dropping some jewels. Still,
and that's
it's a
another
sprinkle
thing.
from 444.
Yeah, and it's
I feel
crazy
that
to
way.
hear Beyonce talking that shit on this album. Like she's like a rapper on this album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's big. You know what I mean? Like they. One thing I love about it is because we get her in her raw essence. We get the part of her who Jay-Z sees regularly. You know what I mean? This isn't an album where she's protecting what she says against any children that's listening. Not saying that that's what she do in the past, but she's saying bitch. She's saying all the
Not
cuss
feel.
words.
What makes you
Yeah.
think that that's not a marketing thing? That maybe she's just doing that to appeal
Nah,
to the
because
new.
when it comes
the
to
new listener.
like the voice and one part into Happy in Love, that literally when she was going in and Jay-Z was just talking his stuff, and then she said her piece, and Hov was just like, nah, chill.
Right,
That couldn't have been rehearsed. Like I felt that. Like I
Man.
can understand
Listen,
how
the one thing I know about Jay-Z and Beyonce, they are very meticulous with their
calculated.
marketing,
It's
with
calculated.
the way they present themselves to the public, to their music, to their performances, to how they're seen by the paparazzi. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if all this is framed, because they don't let you see nothing unless they want you to see it, and they don't let you hear nothing unless they want you to hear it in that
Yeah,
way. So
and as it
I'll
should
leave it
be.
at that.
Like I'm the type of person who's very private about sacred things in my life. I.e. relationships, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, if the crowd, if you're gonna be, your life is people's entertainment, you should frame it the way that you want. You should get paid off of it. I mean, they got the On the Run 2 tour going on right now. They just dropped an
calculated.
album out the So
Timing.
I totally agree, but I don't look at that like that's a bad thing per se.
Now, what's
You know?
not calculated, Nas, you ain't getting away for this one.
What's that?
I think, Nas, lyrically, the album was amazing.
Nas
But-
dropped the ball. Let's just get right
No,
to it.
Kanye, I believe, with his, shout out to our engineer Josh, but
I just upset the hip hop gods right there.
if Josh was, Kanye, Josh, you dropped the ball. You like, I mean, it's too much singing. It's too much like just overkill of just.
What, of the Nas album?
Yeah, you talking about Nas?
Yeah,
album?
Nas's album.
And you're saying you
like,
thinking
too-
it's overproduced?
Kanye,
Nah,
I believe,
bro.
did too much on the
Nah,
music
bro.
side. The
Nah,
lyrics are
bro.
on point, but
No,
it doesn't match
Yeah.
No,
the
no,
music.
no.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I'm with Thompson on
You
this
gotta
one right
flip
here,
that.
man.
I think
Yeah.
the production was pretty excellent, actually. Like, I
So
think
you don't
he
think
brought-
Nas's lyrics was like on point?
I think Nas' lyrics on this album were very surface level. Some tracks it seemed a little lazy.
Oh man, dang,
Some-
yeah, Well, I disagree with that
No,
part. but-
I didn't say the whole album. I just said some tracks.
So
Word.
and
what's
you
up?
gotta remember, it's only a 7-track album, so you gotta
True.
be.
Let me hop in.
All right, Josh, get in
Let me
there.
hop in, fellas. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Josh. I thought the album was okay. I didn't think the album was great. I actually would
Thank
say
you, Josh.
I think that is to me my favorite. Okay, so to me over the last 10 years, my favorite album from Nas is that Life Is Good. I don't think this album was better than Life Is Good.
Better than Stillmatic?
No, I said
Life Is Good?
I
Like,
said the
worse
last.
Stillmatic?
I said over the last 10 years. I think
Yeah.
Stillmatic came out
Like 02.
2001, 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what 16, 17 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So
I personally like
That's
Godson.
fair. That's fair.
and so, but honestly, like I kind of expected more from Nas, and then even a song that I like the track Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Yeah, that's my shit.
But if you actually listen to the lyrics, I
It's
think
very
it's
not
like
whatever.
Nas didn't really bring it on on that song is hot. I'm not taking anything away from the song,
Bro,
but
that's Kanye's production.
yeah, but not like Nas didn't really bring it on this album.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So okay, because I guess I'm thinking differently because that Saturday morning I went to the barbershop, so I listened to the album when it dropped the prior evening, and then that morning I was just listening to it, and I would have to agree, Bonjour would have to be that's my favorite one just because how smooth it is, but
That's the video he's going to drop first.
right, I would imagine so.
That's the hottest track on the album.
But the dude got even everything, the song that come on right after that, everything's so raw. It's like a 7 and some change. Oh, excuse me, and just the Dream and Kanye West singing on it, and you know what he say? If I could do anything, or if I can have anything, I mean anything, I would change everything. However it go, I know I'm murdering it right now.
But do you
Yeah,
understand collectively why we're criticizing Nas
Well,
right now so much?
Well, I hear what y'all saying. Again, I'm
And
just
that's
saying
because
I
he
don't
literally
agree.
is a lyricist, right? Like the
He-
reason
he
why we
set the
talk
standard.
about him so much is because he used to give us lyrical content. We didn't really care about the beats, but the beats
Yeah.
made it dope. But
'Cause that was
literally,
one
he
of
was
his, like-
dropping that. He was dropping that knowledge.
That was one of his biggest criticism in Nas's career was his poor beat selection.
Right.
True.
And like you finally get the best producer ever to provide you with the cleanest, crisp at beats you could possibly have in your career. And I feel you underdelivered on that one opportunity to get the best beats you possibly had in your career.
But Nas shouldn't have been in Wyoming.
Yeah,
That's not.
and
That's
my-
not that wave. Like
My thing is, I don't look at that as a traditional Nas album like the
Okay.
way that y'all comparing it to his other projects.
And I've heard that too.
Nas hasn't had a 7. It
And
was
I-
this
and
7
I feel
tracks.
like people are not considering
is-
these 7
Yeah,
tracks as albums.
it's coming out with good music. It's all produced by Kanye. It sound dope. It sound good. Because after I heard the album, the first thing I did immediately afterwards was go back and listen to "Still Dreaming." Y'all remember that track with him and Kanye West?
Oh, yeah.
And I listened to it, and when I listened to the album and "Still Dreaming," I get the same feel off of it. He got the storytelling in there. He dropping little jewels in there. The production clean on it. So that "Still Dreaming" and Nasir album reminds me of, or is giving me a mature, expanded version of "Still Dreaming." And "Still Dreaming" is a classic. I listen to that song repeatedly right now. As far as the lyrics, you could say the same thing about Beyonce. She did something different, right?
Beyonce and Nas are
What-
two different creatures.
But I'm
I'm gonna
talking
let
about
this
as
Nas
far
album
as
just really-
artistically.
I'm
You
gonna
know
let
what
this
I mean?
Nas album just honestly really breathe because this is the first time in the 30-something podcast that Tone has agreed with Josh that Life Was Good is to me today, and I have to let this album breathe because our next topic is going to validate that. Life Is Good is not compared to what he just dropped, and I think it's Life Is Good. It's just way better. It's just Life Is Good is just way better.
Man, but on that note, we're going to take a quick break, man. It's the 30-something podcast.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? We're not even cutting it. We was gonna take a quick break, but we're just gonna segue and pivot right into our next topic, right? So speaking of Life Is Good, no, that's not a classical album from Nas. All right? No, it's not. It's not. Honestly, it's not. It's just,
I might have to agree.
Like, it's not. It's not. It's not. Honestly, it
The
really-
album cover might be more iconic than the actual album, but
It's
that's what Khaleesi's wedding dress on the lap.
yeah, but that's the early prequel to 444. That was Nas's 444. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you can't say that 444 is compared to Reasonable Doubt, right? Like, you can't.
So when-
Reasonable Doubt is Jay-Z's, and that's in my top 10 of a classical album because, again, it was ahead of its time, right? But
So you think that's Jay-Z's only classic album?
I'm biased because I'm a Jay-Z fan, so you can't ask me that question.
Word.
It's not
word.
fair because I can put Jay-Z's 3 albums in my head and put them before multiple ones, right?
Same here.
So that's not fair. But,
But
the
like
last
for the
10
past
years,
10
Yeah. So
The last
'cause
past 10
it's
years,
it's
right?
2018. So from 2008 to
So-
today.
I'm honestly have to go with. I mean, it was written.
That's not in 10 years.
I know,
not
not
all
the
the
last
10
10
years.
years, right?
I got some for the past 10 years.
Yeah,
So-
I got some
so
from the last 10 years
Nas
too.
this is where I'm gonna go with this.
Alright.
Nas' classical album as an artist, to me personally, was It Was Written, which is not in the last 10 years, right?
Okay.
Life is Good, yes, Josh, that's fair, but it's not a classic.
It's not a classic. I can't name one track off of there.
Oh,
You can't
tripping.
cherry wine with him and
Amy Winehouse.
like stuck in
Amy
what's that the
Winehouse.
90s
Yeah.
joint? What's the name of
Yo,
that track?
Is that the one where you had the
Life
one
is
song,
Good?
Destiny?
Huh?
Yeah.
The way it came on, like him and
Listen, Josh ready to break some
you're
records.
just a accidental
on.
murderer.
All right,
hold
Josh,
on,
what
hold
you got
on.
to say?
Man, he
What
has
do you
some
got to
awesome
say?
records.
Hold on.
What do you
Tone,
have to
Tone,
say?
hold on. All y'all tripping.
What you got to
All
say?
y'all tripping.
Nah, not me.
All y'all tripping. Well, if Life is Good is better than 444, and it came out like 6 years earlier or something than that.
Listen,
that song with the
one
song
of the
Stay.
criteria-
The song Stay is dope.
One of the
Accident
criteria-
Murderers is dope. Shoot, hold on. Stay that backwind.
Is Stay the one with the you
See,
can
look,
have a piece
let me-
of
I'ma give it- I'ma
my-
open up the
something?
Bye Baby.
Yeah, Bye Baby, yeah.
My goodness, that
What's the Trapped in the 90s joint?
a Queen Story.
The Don was the
Listen, y'all are true.
No, let me tell you why you tripping, Josh.
Nas
Can
Life
you
is Good
Let
is
me tell you why you tripping. You couldn't get none of those tracks off the top of your head because you had to look at it.
No, I started
and
spewing them up.
one of the things about a classic album is it has to resonate. It has to make an impact over time, and people could connect to it and recollect it. The fact that we're out here thinking about, what was on there?
Thompson.
That doesn't mean it's a classic.
Thompson, my
Go ahead.
my dude. Look, I started naming titles. Tone put the phone in front of my face, like I'm gonna look over at it.
So
I'm gonna
you
look
gave
over
the
at
cheat
it.
code.
I'm
No,
gonna look
I
at it.
didn't
No,
give
no,
the
he
cheat code. No, I
didn't
didn't
he didn't give me the cheat code. I guess he
I
was
was
trying to
being
help me
engineered.
out. But what I'm saying is that Life is Good is a solid album. It's dope.
It could be
It's-
a good album. It can't be classic because it doesn't have the impact. The impact is just as important as the quality of music. There's tons of quality music out there that people just haven't listened to, so you can't call it
Listen, my
classic.
nickname is Just the Facts, right? That's my nickname.
That's what it
right?
is.
That's
You
my
know what I'm
nickname.
saying? Impact is not a criteria
My
for
nickname is
classic?
Just the Facts, right? Just the Facts.
I'm just saying, am I wrong?
Good Kid, Mad City came out in 2013. That's a
That's
classic
a
album.
classic.
Absolutely.
Yes. I
Period.
have that on my list. too.
Period. Like, so a year went after Life is Good came out, and that just literally threw that in the mud. Compared to what's a classic, right? But the reason why we talking about these classical albums is because you have to let the album breathe, because you
Yes.
can literally come back to an album 6-10 months, a year later, listen to some content that's relative to your life, and make it value or make it validate you. So that's why the Source magazine with them mics messed it all up, where people are going crazy with this. So when you would see a mic and make sure it was dope and be like, cool, let me listen to this, and they have some good critics on there, but honestly, Life is Good is Nas's album from 10 years. But let's really dig into the albums that you guys feel that are valid in the past 10 years.
Oh, you just mentioned
08
it. Kendrick Lamar's
to 18.
good. Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City. I put it up there with like Nas's Illmatic. Like that is the perfect masterpiece of
a
an
good
album
reference.
because it is
I like
so
that.
vivid. Like
I like
the from beginning to end, it paints this picture of this humble kid And it's like it all takes place in a day. People don't. It's like
it's a
essentially
story.
project. It's
Yeah.
a story of a
it-
humble kid growing up on a day in the life in Compton, California,
If-
and it goes and it comes full circle, and it's
Yeah, no. In fact, I remember when the album dropped, and this I was wondering when one of y'all were gonna mention that album, but I remember the time around it dropped because it was a concept album, like how
Yes.
you saying it was a story, and if you follow all of the what are those called the
skits.
the skits, yeah,
Yeah.
you'll see it does even at the end when his mom. I love that call.
Yeah.
that, when his pops and his mom talking. that was so
It's
raw.
so funny, and I could recall the story like he's driving around in his mom's van. The mom
picture-
calls him
Yeah.
like, "Yo, I need to go pick up
gotta
my
go to-
welfare check, bring my van back home."
can put
But he
yourself
goes
there.
to visit his girl Shireen's
Right.
house, and they
end up getting beat
beat
up.
up.
His boys, like,
Yeah.
let's go get these cats.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Backseat freestyle.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
But,
such a beautifully crafted album, and it should have won Rap Album of the Year, the Grammys, but freaking was it the guy that made Thrift Shop, Macklemore?
Yeah. They
Macklemore.
did him dirty. But that's why he got the Pulitzer and all of that stuff afterwards.
They're
But-
trying to make up for it.
Absolutely. What I was gonna say earlier, after that album came out, I noticed like several different artists took that same concept of his.
Like YG, I think.
Um,
Did YG do something similar with My Crazy Life?
I remember T.I. even dropped that Trouble Man, and Trouble Man was. I'm not saying it's a classic
Yeah.
album, but it was solid. He had some really nice tracks, but he had that whole skip.
I'm
thing
sorry,
going
Tip. Yo, we my man's Lil met you. We brought you up in one of our other podcasts, but I didn't like Trouble Man.
on. You didn't like Trouble Man,
Nope.
so you ain't like Say Hello.
No, I mean every majority of T.I.'s work I've always appreciated, but Trouble Man does not fit in the context, I guess, of this discussion.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, my whole point of bringing it up was because he did kind of the same thing that.
Oh yeah,
that
look, Kendrick was a
that Kendrick
trendsetter.
did.
He
Yeah,
was a
definitely
trendsetter
trendset it
for,
like that.
and that's
Yeah.
an accomplishment, or I guess a highlight for a respectable high-end artist such as T.I. from a young kid of Kendrick who, was he wasn't mainstream, and when he dropped, Mad Kid, was it?
Good
Kid, Mad
Good
City,
Kid, Mad
yeah.
City. When he dropped that, he set the bar real high.
What was your favorite track off that album?
I
I
probably
really
want
like
to say
Poetic Justice with Drake. I really like that with the Janet Jackson sample.
Yeah, Poetic.
I
Justice.
like the track when he was referring to his actual athletes in the neighborhood. When he was talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
JCI, he was talking about the game. He was talking about
Was that like Dying of Thirst?
No, Dying of Thirst is cold, but I wasn't Dying of
okay.
Thirst.
I
Yeah.
love Dying.
no.
That
This
was
track
the one
was
when
he was talking
like,
about Baron Davis. He was talking about
You sure that was on Good Kid, Mad City?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay,
definitely was on there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of that track, but I know the exact one that you.
yeah.
you
He was talking about just I used to look up to these people, and these were hoop athletes that made it out of the hood.
Yeah.
And I used to hoop, so of course basketball, and that was all relative. So that was one of my favorites, and I really don't like the commercial push songs. I like the
So you didn't like
B-sides.
Poetic Justice?
No, I didn't like Poetic Justice. That wasn't
I like that vibe.
It was cool. The backseat freestyle.
Yeah.
I like Mad
And-
City. Like, yeah, man down.
Yeah.
Somebody might get swung on if I hear that in the club. That one was a.
Dude, I liked. I love the whole album. You know,
It's a push play.
my favorite one, probably just the vibe, is and it was actually a bonus track. It was it called The Recipe.
With Drake.
Oh, with Drake.
Yeah, and
with the
I
airline
wake up
Atlantic. Yeah.
I used to light up a J and just zone out
morning
and let
when
that
I wake
rock.
up.
Yeah, and I like the one when the art of storyteller.
Yes.
That joint was
He
cold,
has an artist storyteller?
man.
Because I hear that, I'm thinking about Outkast.
exactly
And they have like
that's,
4
That's how it was like it was a ode to Outkast.
Now, Josh, I need you to break down. What do you think about this Kendrick? I mean, how do you
Is that
feel?
considered a classic?
My reference to "Life Is Good," which is dropped a year later, because you quiet as a church mouse over here. I need to hear the real.
All right.
Yeah, here we go. This sigh is not a good sign.
All right, I was wrong. I was wrong. I still think that Life Is Good is a great album. However, yes, when you compare it to the first Kendrick Lamar, well, that's I don't know. Some people may not
it's
call
really
it the
not his
first.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
first,
Section 8
second,
is
yeah.
First mainstream.
Yeah,
'Cause,
but
Section 80,
Section
and
80,
Overly
yeah.
Addicted. He had some other things before that.
so yeah, okay, all right. So I will admit that you were right, and I apologize, fellas, for flipping out.
Listen, but it's
And,
all about passion, though.
and
People
you know-
are passionate about what they like.
Yeah,
so-
but I will still say Life is Good is a solid. It's a more than a solid album. It's dope. I still play it. It was great, and it's crazy because some of the stuff that Jay-Z was talking about years later, like Nas was talking about this on like Life is Good. So, but yeah, I will acknowledge that. No, it's not a classic. I was wrong.
I do got one more classic I think you guys should consider.
What's that?
And that's Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I really think that's a classic album.
We
You
ain't
think
talking
so?
about Kanye no more, man.
Oh, come on. You can't discredit the work he's done. I mean, he still made a major impact in the music we listen to. Shoot.
He made or he making Make America Great Again. That's what you said? Oh, okay.
I mean, look, that album had Power, Monster, Runaway, Blame Game with Chris Rock, Lost in the World, Hell of a Life. Like, it has probably some of Nicki's best verses in her entire career. It had some of Rick Ross's best verses. You got RZA.
That was like full of features, though.
Now, this
It
where-
was-
no,
you
but
know what I mean? It's
Kanye
like
held his
almost
own
like a
too.
This gonna be the
compilation
twist,
album.
though. This gonna be the twist where I like to stir up the pot, right?
Here we go.
Now, this is me personally because I listen to everything,
Man.
right? So I don't have a Tef
talking
down here.
hip-hop?
Yeah, we talking hip hop.
Hip hop.
I already know you about to say Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Look at what the sticky.
Dang, man, I don't even want to go there, man.
Nah, I'm just
I
playing.
think honestly, I was talking to my dean the other day, and honestly, what he's doing and he's trolling.
explain what a dean is?
Dean is a dean of pledges for a fraternity. He's in charge of
Got you.
leading the intake process into a fraternity.
A hazing organization. We're gonna say that.
Right.
So no, I was speaking to him the other day, and he was, I was talking about just the new kids and trolling, and none of what they've dropped in the past 10 years could ever make it on my list of classics. But one artist that I do want to bring up that doesn't get enough credit as much as he should, that Long Live ASAP.
Yo, that
Album?
was on my list. Yeah, that one.
That's a classic to
That
me in
might
the
be a
past 10
classic.
years.
Y'all think so?
That might be a classic.
I mean, I listened to the music.
That has like Purple Haze.
I listened to the mixtape that dropped before that
Yeah.
album. Now
That's
that
it up.
mixtape was raw.
Yes, it
I
was.
like that song. What's up? You seen that?
Oh,
The video
yeah,
for What's Up?
yeah.
That was my shit. The
Like Kush and Orange Juice with,
With
Oh,
Wiz
Wiz
Khalifa,
Khalifa.
yeah.
That's a
That's a
classic. But
classic.
that's not an album. It's a
that ain't an
mixtape.
album.
right.
But that is his best piece of work he's
But
ever
underrated.
done.
I would agree.
like,
Best piece of work.
Underrated who doesn't get enough credit or as much as he should. I think ASAP and that album, Long Live ASAP, that was a classic album.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I'll be sitting there lying if I said I heard the whole album. So I'm even surprised.
Because he's
you
holding his
mentioned
weight
that.
today in the recent album that he dropped. So, I mean, everybody's talking about Kanye and the Good Friday, good music drops, and ASAP slid in and dropped his.
Did he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Black
Yeah.
Thought too. Like that's
Yeah,
another one that's
I
like.
listened to his joint last week.
So
And I actually got one more that is just celebrating its 10-year anniversary this year that some people might, I don't know, they're on the fence on whether or not it's a classic or not. Lil Wayne's The Carter 3. That drops
ooh,
the Carter
10 years
3.
ago this year.
Yeah, it was like in
with
January.
Lollipop and a Millie and Mrs. Officer and
That was
Got
a song-
Money.
I liked because my little cousin graduation was like 2 weekends ago,
Yeah.
and on the way and to and from the graduation, I actually was listening to the Carter 2. Now the Carter 2 was a classic.
Yes.
so that dropped in the like
That dropped
early-
back when we was in college.
That was like 06.
Yeah, that wasn't the last 10 years. That was like 06.
08 is when he dropped Carter 3 and
Yeah.
that's within our
The
little
Carter
10-year
3 was
window.
hard. That's when everybody was saying, not me, but the masses was saying, oh, he's the best rapper.
alive.
He said it so much. I never got into that just because Jay-Z, with Jay-Z alive. You know,
But remember,
and-
at that time, Jay-Z, quote unquote, retired
Nah, but Jay-Z was still on so
Alive,
much
man.
other stuff, man. He wasn't retired, not in my eyes, man. You know what I mean? He pulled that with the Black Album. You know what I
He
mean?
pulled
So-
that with the Dear Summer on Memphis Bleak album.
Yeah.
Everybody bought that out. Shout out to Memphis. Yo, the Dear Summer when Hov was on
Yeah.
it. Listen,
But I got
fire.
some other ones.
What's
if you guys
up?
want to hear them?
Yeah, of course.
We got Drake's "Take Care." What do you guys think about that one?
The
that
one with his
had,
head in the cloud?
No, that's nothing.
It's
It
with
was
the
same.
gold. That's
This
what-
is what the
Oh.
gold one. That one has Marvin's Room. That
You
one
said
has.
that
emotional
was a
for me.
classic? Yeah. That
I'm saying that a lot of people consider that to be his best album.
What? I didn't know that,
If
man.
you're reading this,
Let's
it's too
go
late.
through his
That
discography.
I think if you're reading this, it's too late. Might be more.
Josh is shaking his head
Yeah,
vigorously.
I think, what's the name of the joint with his head in the cloud?
Nothing was the same.
Nothing was the same. I would say was his best album, and then after that,
So Far Gone.
So Far Gone. Exactly.
That's a mixtape.
But that's in the
So Far
earlys
Gone's a
though. That's
mixtape,
not in
and
the
that
10
was like-
years. That's
No,
not,
So Far Gone came out exactly like 09.
right. It did. It dropped.
It was,
after,
09. It was right after Wayne's Carter 3.
Exactly.
That's when he was putting on Nicki and Drake in 09.
So Far Gone trumps all of that.
That's not. It's a mixtape.
Hey,
Yeah,
that
he
kid-
went platinum off a mixtape.
He almost won a Grammy off of
Yeah.
Best I Ever Had.
Right. He was on the Sprites commercial.
Yeah, he was killing it in 09.
Now Drake, I would say in the last 10 years, he was one of the most transcendental,
Consistent.
He's been consistent. He's dropped stuff that whether you loved it or you hated it, he's always been relevant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's dropped.
He's been
some-
consistently
some
relevant
stuff.
for the past like 9-10 years now.
Yeah.
Never fallen off. Some other albums. Frank Ocean's Channel Orange. I know that's not really a hip hop, but a lot of people.
That was a mixtape.
No, it was an album.
Channel
Channel
Ultra.
That's the one with Pyramid.
Nostalgia Ultra.
That
That was the mixtape. That was
the mixtape,
The
yes.
Novocaine.
But a lot of
when I got hip
people
to
with
when I
Channel
was a
Orange,
kid, man.
people mess with Channel Orange a lot with pyramids. And
Well, I was listening to it because it dropped before it got leaked. But then when that whole situation happened, they were saying it was a PR stunt I've been thinking of you. They was like what that was towards.
Yeah.
It kind of threw me off, and I'm not being homophobic or anything like that.
Yeah.
So excuse me if that's how it was coming
I
off.
felt misled.
I felt misled too
That's
because here you are singing a song you champion,
But
for
that's
it,
not
and-
hip hop, so it's okay to feel the way you feel.
some people say it's like a fusion.
Yeah.
But anyway,
he's
another-
dope though. Nonetheless.
Next, what else you got? What else
Another
you got?
album.
What
Are
you
we
got?
just gonna stick with hip hop, or are we gonna try to
Hip-hop.
dance on the line? Just hip hop. All right.
Hip-hop
Yeah.
only.
J. Cole, Forest Hill Drive came out 2014.
Classic.
Do we want to consider that a classic?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I do. I'm a J. Cole fan.
I rock with J. Cole, but name some tracks off of the album.
That was like put a finger in there if you want to put two fingers in there, and then the neighbors think I'm selling dope. And,
I said the neighbors think I'm selling dope. Name some more joints on it.
Give me a second.
No, that's
Because
something
you remember
different.
what your
That's
what
on a different
criteria was earlier.
What's
You
the
said
test?
if you can't just name tracks off, that's what you told Jay.
Yeah,
You know what I
you're
mean?
right.
And I'm not shitting on J. Cole because that's actually one of my favorite artists. He's in my top 10.
So you're getting, so you're not wrestling with it.
I actually
No, January
like,
28th was my favorite track on the joint.
Yeah, January 28th is pretty.
That was
good.
my favorite track. That's the track number 2.
All right.
What's some more?
Next.
What's some more joints on it that
Oh.
y'all consider it a classic? That's why I'm asking.
The only reason why I mentioned this classic because that's the album that put J. Cole over the top.
That's when he
And
won
a
all
lot
his
of people.
awards. He got all his
He
awards
got a
with
lot
that
of
one.
awards. He sold the most albums. That's the one like went double platinum without a feature.
Yeah, that was that. I like the album that dropped.
Hey,
before
Josh
that
waving the
one.
flag. He said, "Get it." He said, "Get it up out of here."
I was just like, get that out of here.
Do y'all remember Villmatic? Did y'all listen to
Yeah,
that?
that's on
Mm-hmm.
Born Center.
Yeah, exactly. Unborn Sinner. That
Now,
that whole
I'm
album
gonna
was.
make it real interesting. Has it been other than Kendrick Lamar? Has it been any other classic West Coast albums in the past 10 years?
A lot of people think YG's My Crazy Life is considered a West Coast classic. A lot of people really love that album. It was like a throwback to the classic West Coast sound with those synthesizers and
Y'all
the way
gonna get mad at me now, but y'all gonna think about it 5 years from now. But that Nipsey Hussle,
You're
Victory
really
Lap.
championing that Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, the Victory Lap was raw. I don't know if I would say it's a classic,
5 years later,
but Victory Lap is
All right,
definitely
I got a couple
hard.
more that we want to consider. How about Jay-Z, Kanye, Watch the Throne?
That was a moment, definitely. cats can't say
That
that they
niggas
wasn't
in Paris,
like niggas in
when they were
Paris
bringing it back
was-
like 11 straight times.
Bruh, and nobody getting
That's in the
tired
Guinness
of
Book
it.
of
tired.
World Records, though,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they performed that actually in Paris. It was, that's in the Guinness Book of World Records.
I know. I remember my little sister went to the concert when it was in Detroit, and she hit me up after the concert. Guess what? They played, man. The crowd went crazy off niggas in Paris. They just kept bringing it back. I was like, oh shit! I wish I would have been there. Like
Yeah.
she was going ham off of that.
So
joint.
classic or no classic?
I would say it was a classic. Cause
Watch the Throne. We got Ham on there.
Yeah,
what
Welcome
else?
to the Jungle. That was my shit.
That's my bitch.
Oh yeah, Otis.
Otis.
yeah,
Now,
niggas-
Al, this is where it's gonna get interesting about that
Ham.
album. I am a Jay-Z fan, but when Kanye was in his right mind, I believe Kanye West carried Jay-Z that album
Yes, he did.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
lyrically.
Damn,
I think
are
so.
y'all
I
serious?
think, yeah, Kanye really, I think he carried the brunt of the load of that album.
Hey, Hov,
Production-wise and
I
some of the
rock
lyrics,
with you
too.
heavy, but Yee,
Yay.
no. Yee today, the Yee today is not
Oh,
the one
wow.
on that album now. The
Can't
Kanye,
even call him Ye no more. He's
Nope. Nope. Kanye West,
Wait a
Mr.
minute. I'm
West.
still stuck on y'all
Carried.
saying that he carried
He
Hov.
did. He did lyrically.
Go back and listen.
On that album.
I wore that album out when it came out. I was going through some hard times. That's why Welcome to the Jungle is my shit, because when I throw that on,
Hey,
I'm
guess
in
what?
full
Josh
grind
agrees what
mode,
I just
man.
said on that one, y'all. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think and when I say that I agree that Kanye carried that album, it's like when I listen to that album, I can get like Kanye vibes from it. Like That's My Bitch. Like that sounds like a Kanye song. What's some other, I mean, just like his whole style, you can kind of hear it on it. It's similar to how people are talking about this Jay-Z Beyonce album and how they got the track from the Migos. How
Yeah,
it kind of,
you heard the reference
Yeah,
track?
the reference track.
Yeah.
How it kind of sounds like a Migos kind of
Oh,
song.
it's definitely a Migos song.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
they
obviously,
absolutely a
yeah.
Migos
I mean,
song.
obviously,
it's just Beyonce doing Quavo.
yeah. So it's kind of like that on that Watch the Throne. It's kind of like it's a Kanye album that Jay-Z just kind of hopped
Fills
on.
in. Yeah, that's how I feel.
I
wouldn't go that far.
Yeah,
I know. It's definitely a Kanye, Future, and Jay-Z album. It seems like a lot of these collaborative albums, Jay-Z Beyond, he's really like the side and like the entrees, the other person.
like-
I think
I
y'all the
wouldn't go
same
that
people
far.
that don't like LeBron, man. Like y'all the same people that say LeBron ain't shit because I'm like, Hov, man. Tell the Grammys, fuck that 0 for 8 shit. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, man,
Have
you
you
need-
ever seen the crowd?
And
going
you need
ape
to
shit?
remove
Like,
your
man.
bias and listen to it with just clear, and just listen to what it is.
Yeah,
So
no,
you
I
mean-
could
go
do
ahead.
it.
What you gonna say? What you say? Because I got something to say about that. Go ahead. What you
No, I
gonna
was
say?
just saying, like, when it comes to Jay-Z, yeah, I was the biggest Jay-Z fan. I won't say I'm a Jay-Z fan today because I won't say I'm a fan of anyone. I respect his art. I fuck with Hov heavy, so it may be some biasness, but these days I listen to things objectively. A lot of shit he may come out with, I might not like it or I won't agree with it, but I won't agree with something that I just totally disagree with, you know, just for the sake of conversation.
Now, the reason why I said that Kanye West carried Jay-Z is because, again, what Josh said, that majority of the content or even the titles of the different tracks was Kanye West all over it.
Yeah, I think Kanye essentially executive produced the album, produced all
Oh,
of
yeah.
it, and
Oh,
made
yeah.
it, constructed it, sequenced it. Like it was
But
essentially his album.
To say that, I mean, with Jay-Z, his lyrics and what he said on that album, don't get it twisted. It's just over people's heads, right?
Right.
So
I'll
I'm
give you
speaking.
that, yeah.
I'm speaking for the masses that's just listening to it, saying, "Hey, Kanye West is gonna grab their attention to the album." But the real hip hop heads and understanding in the codes and when Jay-Z's talking, it's just above their pay grade.
Like what
Right.
Jay-Z said on
Just
what he said on Renegade was like,
Man,
do you
just
do
listen.
just listen to music
Or
or do you skim
skip
through
Do you
it?
skip
Yeah,
through? That's
exactly.
a perfect example with that album because Hov is really talking some stuff. It's just some people really have to do the research to understand what he's saying. Kanye gonna get his piece out. You gonna understand it. You're gonna be turning up, and it's dope. But it's gonna go over your head with Hov.
And the thing is,
Which I like those puzzles.
Right,
I like
right.
them.
So just to go back to how I like how y'all compared this joint with the Watch the Throne, because their projects. They're like collaborative projects.
Yeah. And Jay-Z has a couple of those, like the thing with Linkin Park, that
Yeah,
Collision Course.
yeah, he got the Collision Course. Exactly. The thing with, Watch the Throne, if y'all guys go back to Watch the Throne, it's tracks on there where it's just might be Kanye doing the hook, but it's Jay-Z actually the one delivering more of the verses. Now I could get you because creatively, yeah, Kanye is more creative than Jay-Z.
I don't know if you say Jay-Z has some creative stuff, but
Well,
maybe he has more talents because he's doing more than just rapping. Kanye's producing sequence. Jay-Z's just bringing rapping to the table.
He's
so I wouldn't say he's
technical
more
and he's bringing.
creative than others.
Yeah, maybe my choice of words is wrong. I guess he's involved with more creative pursuits publicly.
Okay.
Than Jay-Z, because Jay-Z, of course, we know he got his hands involved with some of everything. Shout out to him for that new Puma deal he just got.
Oh yeah, president
You know what I
of
mean?
basketball operations.
Hey Jay,
that
don't
dude
man,
running
you
the
had
world,
them S.
man.
Dot Carters, man, and them was trash, bro.
Oh, what? You think they was trash?
Them is today's dad shoes. Really, go ahead, everybody. Listen, all my listeners, listen. Look at them shoes and what they look like versus today, and you're gonna see the dad shoes and that wave. And Cove, the Rockaware was dope. What you have now in Rock Nation is dope, but
The Puma thing is not.
the shoe game. Listen,
All right. And I got not to cut you off, but I got a couple of more classic albums for your consideration.
All right.
And then we could,
what you got? What you got?
This one, we gotta, bring in Nicki Minaj because she's essentially been the champion of the woman voice in hip hop. So we have to bring in Pink Friday to the table.
Tone mutes his mic because he does not listen to Nicki Minaj.
I'm just saying,
You got this.
She's
You know what I
been
mean?
like the voice.
You can hold it down. For
This one,
for-
she had what, a Moment for Life, and
I know the elevator music. I get
yeah.
it.
So
Like,
I mean,
I've
would you
heard-
consider her impact? Like she showed the Gang of Records, and she had a moment for a long time before Cardi B and the other people.
In
started
this
showing
moment
up.
now, I really understand how hard it is for a female artist because you could never hear somebody, and I just thought about what you just said, that you can reference her album as being a classic album, and
just for what it did, and doing it by herself as the sole mainstream female hip hop
in no
voice.
way am I a sexist, but I just really don't listen to Nicki Minaj.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't know.
I don't
couldn't
listen to her. I mean, I just know the singles.
Yeah, because you got a segment of the population, of the fellas, of the guys who do cop the Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
It is some guys who is, what are they, the Barbs?
Barbies,
That's
Barbs,
her
or Kens.
I'm
I
not,
think she calls them Kens.
I'm not a Barb or a Ken or
Yeah.
anything. Then this is no disrespect to Nicki, because hey, that motherfucker be going in. She be spitting. Don't get me wrong. The shit that I've heard her on. But can I say that I've actually had a Nicki Minaj album and listen to it and to be able to even critique it? No, that's, I heard her on My Dark Twisted Fantasy. Them tracks she was on, yeah, she killed it.
But then again, thinking like
so
2018 now, like we're listening to full Cardi B albums.
I haven't listened to the Cardi B
I'm telling you, a
album.
lot of people have.
Yeah, no, that's
A
what I'm
lot
saying.
of-
You
I'm
speaking
saying.
for that demographic.
You will not
you know what
catch.
I mean?
You're
You
not
will
gonna say I'm
not. You
speaking
will
for-
not catch Tone riding down the streets of Charlotte with his music on blast and a cigar in his hand, playing Cardi B.
You
Nicki
lying.
Minaj.
You're lying because when Bodak Yellow was ringing off, you can't tell me you didn't have that.
Bodak
time.
like
Yellow
that.
was
I
hard.
like
So what are you
Bodak-
saying right
He's
now?
talking about an album.
But I just can't
Yeah.
like I can't just.
And
push
plus,
play
we
on it,
opened up
right?
one of our podcasts with that. I like it like that track.
Now the
that
twist
goes
of what
off
you
too.
said, the twist
I'm
of what
just
you
saying,
said,
like,
I'm
what
gonna
are
be
we
all the
doing?
way honest, right?
Yeah.
I don't like female commercial artists.
See, now you just digging the hole. Like,
Yeah.
why
No,
can't you listen to?
No.
All right, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna go where I'm going with this because Rhapsody is
She's
dope.
dope.
Man, now her album was raw.
I can
listened
listen to
Rhapsody.
her.
Yeah.
I can listen to her. I can understand.
So what is it? Is it like what the sex talk when they talking about like fucking dudes and all that?
It's just
That's what it is. Like what is
gravitate.
the point? Well, like what is the disconnect? with
I can
listening?
play a Queen Latifah album. I can play an MC Light album.
So it sounds like the disconnect is the sex
The
talk.
disconnect, right, is that
That's what it seems because you're mentioning
I
artists
never-
that don't talk
I
about
never
that.
was into Lil' Kim. I never was into Nicki Minaj
That's-
nor Cardi B.
Sounds like that's the
so
link.
from the lyricist
That's what it
standpoint,
sounds like.
I'm rocking with Rhapsody and the real substance to music. Like that's what I like.
And I like what he said right there, because I would probably have to concur with majority of what he just said.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person, I'm a hip hop purist, right? I'm a hip hop head. I'm not listening to everything, but you'll be surprised at what I've heard. You know what I mean? But when it comes to what I want to listen to, it gotta be full substance. Now, that's not to say that the artists that we mentioned, in like, i.e. Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Lil Kim, because Lil Kim go hard. She been going in since back in the day. You know, we forgot about Remy Ma. It's a lot of women artists. So I'm not sexist. I'll listen to
shout out
some
to
of
them.
to their stuff.
But it's the substance that
Yeah.
I need to be like, oh,
Right.
they
Like,
talking about.
when I heard Rhapsody, I didn't hear male or female,
Nope.
man or woman.
I heard
When
artists.
I just heard just straight bars, straight lyrics, straight no gimmicks, no anything. Now Nicki Minaj, that would be someone who I said I would consider came out with a gimmick. I'm not saying she's gimmicky, but the whole Barbie
the
thing
hair
and that
and
trend,
the crazy dressing
yeah,
and all
with the body enhancement and all of that. I was always one of those type of guys. Like, I like my women more like Lauryn Hill than I like them like,
That's
name
another
name any
lyricist.
woman who just not naturally herself. Now, I love all women and they all look good, but when I want to go home at night, I'm gonna go home more so with that vibe.
See, now this is
You know
going
what
to
I
a
mean?
whole nother conversation on
Yeah.
like what type of woman you like as
So,
opposed to,
but-
and you're saying
but
you're
it's-
letting your. Oh, Josh got something.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Came out like a bat out of hell.
Yeah, no, my bad for jumping up like that. I want to, because you use a term like you like your woman a certain kind of way, and I just want to make sure that our listeners don't take that the wrong way. I interpret that as far as an artist, and as far as like not liking Nicki Minaj, I think it's wanting to relate to the music, but then it's also it's like, hey, I can't vibe with hearing a woman rap about sex.
Yeah.
And the thing is like women can make the case and say, well, hey, I gotta listen to that music all the time when it's a guy. What's the issue with
But it's
with
normalized for them because they've grown up their whole life listening to men talk about that. But
maybe not. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we can choose what we
Exactly.
what we listen to. And for me personally, I prefer not to hear a rapper rapping about having sex with a guy.
Yeah, so like
that would be kind of crazy. You're out there like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fuck this dude, I'm gonna suck his. It's kind of
like as far as that type of stuff goes, that type of stuff don't particularly bother me because I don't look at that like that's not a lyric I'm going to repeat. Like, remember what was the lyric Nicki Minaj said?
I don't know.
The one with her and Wayne and her.
I
and
never
Drake.
fuck Wayne and never fuck Drake.
You'll never ever hear me repeat that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
like
Just
imagine going
because-
to a concert and you standing there with your boys and some chicks and you rapping what she's saying. I'm like, whose man's is this?
right.
It's just
So
uncomfortable.
because of that disconnect, you can't appreciate or you can't give the credit to the music that you
Not at all.
produce.
That's not what I said at all.
I'm just saying. So
Yeah,
you're
what-
saying you
what
can't
I-
resonate
what-
with the music, so
what-
you can't give the music its proper due.
Well,
It's hard.
on
It's hard for me to do so.
Yeah,
It's
what-
hard. Yeah,
what-
it's hard.
What I'm saying is, I'll give credit where credit is due. I'm not going to give it more credit than I'm willing to give it. Like, if you asking me if she came out with a classic album, I never listened to her album to be able to
criticize
say
it.
it is a classic. So I can't say it is or it isn't. If you ask me, is Cardi B album a classic? I haven't listened to that album to say it is or if it isn't. They both are dope women. When I see them, they sisters. I'm rooting for them. I
Yeah.
want them to do their thing. I feel like they have social responsibility? Yes, that's a personal thing though. If we talking about Lauryn Hill, I'll throw on Lauryn Hill right now and let it just.
So we're
rock,
putting
you know?
limitations on what we could appreciate women when they rap, but we don't put any limitations on the men on what they're rapping about.
That's what you're saying.
No,
not
that's
what
what
I'm
that's
saying.
what you're kind of implying.
That's
You're
what-
saying it without saying
No,
it.
that's what.
That's what it
because-
sounds
But honestly,
like.
like, so when I hear a woman's voice, when I hear women sing, that goes to I take it deeper than that in depth. Probably when my mom might have been singing or humming to me in the womb, right?
Yeah.
So I can hear R&B albums or different stuff about love or whatever have you, and it's comforting in that regard because that's what happened, right? when it comes to a woman talking about different crazy, out of control, just sex and just what she's doing to a dude, and she's putting herself in a man's shoes, but talking about what she's doing to a man in the bedroom.
That's a problem
I
for
can't
you.
relate.
So and
I just can't.
And see,
I'm tapped out.
See, I'm a poet, so I come from the world of spoken word.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that stuff when I go do spoken
Oh
word.
yeah, women, they do that in their
Yeah,
poetic way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't knock that. That's gonna
Yeah, I
whoever
respect
is
it.
the listener, the crowd, the audience. Yeah, I'm not gonna because when I hear a woman say that, I'm gonna be more so turned on than repeating that lyric. I'm just like, oh man, so you heard what Shorty
So
just
you
said?
don't get that
You-
same reaction
so-
if they're doing it in a rapping
No,
style.
that's not what I'm saying.
No, I was asking. I
Right,
was just
exactly.
saying, yeah.
I was the reason why I made that point is
Yeah.
to go back to what you were saying originally, because you were trying to qualify what I was saying,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm saying is I can articulate myself enough to where I can let you understand. It doesn't need no interpretation. It means what it means. You know what I mean?
I was just trying to understand what you're trying to say.
No disrespect.
Yeah.
Because you looking for clarification.
Yeah.
But what I mean, I don't have to have like any underlying. I'm going to be forward and blunt with what I'm saying. You know what I mean? As far as like with Nicki and Cardi, I'm not saying that they can't be appreciated.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is like frequencies, vibrations.
And Thompson, we
wavelengths.
haven't heard your
You're gonna-
standpoint. Like, what is your standpoint on it? Like,
Oh, I don't think it's a classic at all.
all right, so listen.
He the
On
Jerry
that-
Springer of the group, man.
On
'cause-
that note, listen.
I'm just bringing questions to the
Listen,
table
all
because to
right.
me, like I've been telling you, I don't connect to the music, but
All right,
I can
so-
appreciate
so-
the impact it's had on other women and their on the demographic that
Shout out for
listen
Thompson
to the
being a
music.
real one. He know the
I
real.
can appreciate it,
He
but
know the
I
real.
don't listen to it. I haven't listened to the album. I'm just
So-
letting you know its impact.
So, okay, so the pivot, right?
Yeah.
On the next topic, right? Who are your favorite artists in the last 8 years?
Oh, I thought
In
it
the
was
last 8
not all
years?
time or just past 8 years.
In the last 10 years. Let's go 10.
Oh, if it has to be Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. So you
It
like
has to be
Kendrick?
like his vividness, the way he paints pictures with his words, his albums, all of his albums provide a different perspective on his life, where he was when he grew up, to how he perceives government and life now, to how he's grown, like with Damn, the new album. He won like a Pulitzer Prize
Right.
for Damn. Like I just loved his progression over the past like 10 years, and I'm wherever he's going, I'm following. Like I love his music.
Man, so are you asking who's your favorite artist just period in the last 10
In the
years?
last 10
or
years.
the who have came out in the last 10 years?
That came out in general in the last 10 years.
Okay, so mine would be Jay Electronica.
Okay.
That would be even to this day.
So you're a big fan of the 2 songs he's put out?
Yeah, I was like, 'cause the
am.
content is not enough,
I would
right?
be. I'm the person that when he drops a new track, I will be one of the first people who's up on it, just because I respect his lyricism.
So you don't hold anything against him for the literal lack
know what?
of content he's put out?
I was really, because back in 2012 when the world was supposed
Exhibit
to end and all of that
A,
stuff.
Exhibit B, C, G.
Man, no. Remember they was like saying the hype around him getting signed to Rock Nation.
Yeah.
All
You were
around that
thinking like this
time.
is coming. He's about to drop.
I was thinking, but I was never one of those people that hated him for not drop. I understand he's a different type of dude. He's not a mainstream guy. He's living out his life. He's touring constantly. Dude is not broke. He's living the kind of life he wants to live, and unapologetically, and I totally respect.
Let me
that.
tell you why I hold him against me. He's out here not putting out any music, but on the other side of his mouth, criticizing other people who put out music and criticizing their work and talking about, oh, I would eat them alive. I'm way better than them. You haven't put out a damn thing in like 10 years, and you're out here criticizing other people for
Which
putting their art up there.
lyrically,
It's like, what are you doing?
lyrically, the stuff that he's put out, which is minimal, right?
That's being generous, saying minimal.
Yeah, it's been fire, right? And consistency is key in the game of hip hop, right? So as long as you keep that anticipation, I understand where Khalil can say, "Hey, like that's my favorite." It's just for me personally, I don't think he has enough content because he reminds me of Andre 3000.
Right.
And 3 Stacks will sneak on somebody's track, and I'll get excited. But he hasn't. I mean, he's old school. Andre been out since the
But he
90s.
already has a huge catalog with Outkast. Andre doesn't owe us anything. Okay?
And shout out to
As
Erykah
much as
Badu for having both of those.
Yeah, but Andre doesn't owe us anything. We already have his Outkast catalog. Like
Shout out to Father's Day.
we're just wishing for the cherry on the top of the sundae with the solo album. But we have enough Andre 3000 to eat for good. Okay, so
Now, you
he's
know,
all right.
me, I'm a Libra, so I'm so undecisive. Like, you know, it's hard for me. My favorite artists in the past 10 years, I'm gonna have to go with Jay-Z. Like,
I thought y'all said people that just came out.
just came out.
Yeah,
What the new
Yeah.
artists within the past 10 years?
No, just came out. Last 10 years. Cole. J.
Okay.
I
Cole.
can respect that,
I'm gonna go
yeah.
with J. Cole
I
because
respect all the answers.
the reason and to justify why I picked J. Cole is simple. His recent album that he dropped, which
What, Kids on Drugs, or Kids Overdose, whatever that is.
Right.
KOD.
Yeah.
KOD broke the streaming services of what Drake dropped on Apple Music.
Yes, I remember
Right.
that.
So that means that his following, his music, everything that he's built prior up until has always been consistent. And shout out to my boy Brandon White. Hey, he's a heavy critic of J. Cole. He can't stand J. Cole, right? He don't
I know,
give-
like a lot of people feel like a critic. He's like a fake intellectual. I've heard that.
Oh, wow.
Or like a top level intellectual. Like you think he's saying something deep, but he's really not. And I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying that's the criticism
Oh,
I've
that's
heard.
what they saying.
Like they're saying, like he act like he grew his hair out and he's having these
That's
in-depth
crazy,
conversations.
man.
But they're saying, oh, but is he really saying anything?
But you gotta think of the stuff that even he does outside of just music. Like he's really
Oh, yeah.
like active in the community, and that speaks volume for a lot of cast of other artists that's just collecting tour money and checks.
Yeah.
So he's involved with his community too. So I respect that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But yeah, lyrically, man, hey, J. Cole, past 10 years. Hey, shout out to him. Josh, who you got in the
you
past 10
got,
years,
Josh?
man? Because you a DJ, so your ear is a little bit different. So I know you going to say something.
Hey, it's kind of crazy that y'all didn't mention this guy,
Oh, okay. Who we got?
Drake.
Nope.
Drake has been to me, or again, we all just giving our own opinions.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, this our your
this-
favorite, so it's a bias.
Yeah,
answer,
yeah. So, because Drake, again, do I think he's the best artist? No,
But favorite is the
but he gives, he makes some party music.
Mm-hmm.
He can make some songs where you think, but not on the level of
Oh, yeah,
some
he's
of the
never been
people,
like the political
that
rapper,
y'all.
like-
Yeah, but he's been consistent. And you mentioned something earlier. He puts out a lot of music. Some of the music I don't care for. When he tries to do a whole bunch of songs with like 2 Chainz and whoever the flavor of the weak rapper is.
Yeah.
Some of those songs I don't really care for. But he's always dropping music. Most of it is quality.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I will also say is that's my favorite. But then I also got to give a shout out to Stolly. Cause Stolly drops, he drops solid
Maybach
music.
music, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's still with him.
I think he's still
But
with
yeah,
me.
No, he's not with Maybach
yeah,
anymore.
Stolly, yep.
Yeah, he haven't been with them going on almost a year, if not longer. Yeah, he's.
From what
dropped
I
a
heard,
couple
yeah,
of-
he's very talented.
Yeah, Stolly
Very
dope.
good.
Stolly dope.
And, consistency wise, yo, you can say Drake. I'm going to go also. I can't leave Rick Ross out.
Well, he's
Yeah,
not
he
been
came
in the
out
last
before the
10
10
years.
years.
Yeah.
Nah,
I was getting
like-
pledged to Port of Miami.
That
man.
came
yeah,
out
that's
06, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That wasn't
So,
10 years ago.
Ross got to sneak in. I'm sorry. Port of Miami
But
kind of
no,
was a
yeah.
mixtape.
Drake is probably the most consistent out of the past 10 years when you add up the
Yeah,
stats.
Drake win everything except
Yeah,
for that
Drake.
last beef.
Oh yeah, he's got to sit on this L right quick. I mean, that's okay. Everybody takes L's. But all that matters is what happens when you take the L. Do you bounce back?
I mean, I don't. The L he took. I mean, I don't think that hip hop beefs are what they once were. You know what I mean? And then it makes me think about this recent beef with them. I'm hearing people qualifying the beef and creating rules as if those rules that they're creating actually, dictate who wins or not. Like you went too far by saying this and by saying, man,
That's
come
Kanye
on,
free thinking. They free thinking on that.
Nah, I wouldn't even say that, man. That's some old other type of shit. Like that's, you know, who said that's like saying no, you got to fight with one hand behind you because you can fight them with two hands or because you know how to kick. You know what I mean? Like nah,
Ain't
hip
no
hop
rules.
beats it wasn't no rules. We from an era where we was seeing niggas get knocked out back in the day. You know what I mean? But from when Smack DVDs first start coming out and these niggas
This
is
was
just
before
battle
World
rappers.
Star.
Yeah.
This was before.
And the thing
it all.
that you mentioned, that it kind of leads into this whole generation gap that we probably got to talk about next, and like is there a perceived generation gap? And I would just want to say there's always been a gap in any type of musical genre, and hip hop is not the same. Like there was a generational gap between artists in the 80s and the 90s, in the 90s and the 2000s and 2000s into now. Like people weren't rocking with Will Smith or DMX when Rakim and KRS-One were coming out. They were saying, "Oh, that's not real hip hop." Like they're too friendly.
I
and all
think
that. So,
the early
DMX
'90s
was
artists
friendly?
though.
no, I mean not
Like-
friendly. I'm just saying
man.
there's always a changing of the guards within every like 5 or 6
But
years.
I
and
think
there's
the
always
most dominant, though, the most impactful era that took over hip hop, they didn't care about really what the Rakims, the LL Cool J's, or the Public Enemies thought. The 90s and the 2000s era took the game to a whole nother level.
Those are separate eras, though.
Nah, like the reason why you gotta merge those two, the early
the
2000s.
90s and the 2000s they're separate.
Nah,
Because the 2000s, that's that ringtone rap era. That's
Yeah.
that Laffy Taffy stuff. That was the
Yeah, a
Lil
lot of
Wayne.
that
But the
That's
early-
that defines the 2000s.
the
I
early
think,
90s
between
artists that
Eminem,
survived that
Nelly,
weren't
and
murdered or died,
Yeah.
those artists kept going. You get what
Well,
I'm
that
saying?
was those are the
artists knew how-
outliers.
Those artists knew how to adapt to the
the
change.
times,
Yeah,
yeah.
adapt to the times. So like,
Shout out
some-
to Diddy.
You know what I mean? Yes.
Yeah, he's lived through all those eras.
Yeah,
and he's just been a figure through all
Diddy
of that.
been-
he wasn't like a real rapper though. He was
Yeah.
more so. He,
I'm talking about.
Diddy
I'm
knew
talking
how to
about.
market.
I'm just talking
himself.
about
He-
hip hop
you know what I
in
mean?
general.
Oh, hip hop in general. Yeah, like
Diddy has survived every single era, revamped, regrouped, rebranded,
yeah.
and elevated and kept going.
Consistently.
Snoop as well.
Snoop
Snoop
is
Dogg
another-
as well.
Snoop, yeah,
LL
definitely.
Cool J, he's maneuvered and
Dre has always stayed behind the scenes and made bigger deals financially that we don't really hear about, but he's still valid in hip hop. Jay Prince too. I mean, he's popping up recently based off of him muting Drake, but I mean,
he's
Jay Prince
interviewing
is
anybody
still,
that has a mic. Shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if he walked in right now and interviewed with us.
Yeah, he's
Facts.
silly, man. Shout out to Jay Prince, man. Nah, but y'all say something interesting about the eras. You know what I mean? Myself personally, I would, because when you think about hip hop, what's the number one sport that that's used as an analogy in hip hop?
Like boxing or like a competitive
Basketball.
Basketball. You hear way more basketball references and analogies and comparisons in hip hop versus hip hop, and I look at them kind of like the same. You know what I mean? Hell, Jay-Z coming over with the Puma deal. You know what I mean? Hip hop meets the NBA. Hip hop meets basketball. But anyway.
So is
I
whole
don't- I
Michael
think
Jordan
it's-
basketball?
I think it's before we answer that question. I think it's like just like comparing the NBA. Like you could compare these artists or you could compare these players, but it was different. The
generations were different.
yeah,
times
the
were different.
times were
like
different.
you can't compare
the,
Bill Russell.
The
to,
rules were
to Shaq or
different.
something like that.
The atmosphere, the zone. You know what I mean?
The clothes.
Yeah. If it
Everything
wasn't
was
for
different.
the people that came before the new people wouldn't exist. You know what I mean? But they're both intertwined. Like it, because imagine 10 years from now or two, it's people it's people living right now that truly believes that this is the greatest generation of hip hop.
Yeah.
It's an army.
See, it's
of them
ridiculous.
kids.
And
It
there's
sounds
that generation
crazy,
gap because
but they really look at like XX Extension.
Oh, they live and die by him.
They
That's
look
their
at him
Tupac.
like he's Tupac.
That's their
exactly.
Tupac right
Now
now.
we think that that's absurd, right? Anybody
Yeah.
listening to this, they're gonna be like, "Wait a minute, what did he say? They Tupac." Lil Homie, they looking at it. I'm talking about when he died. And look, just if you look on social media,
Oh, yeah, they're idolizing him.
crying. I see all of these profile pics of him
Because I don't know any of his songs.
I don't know any
I
of
don't
his
know his
songs either.
but
But
that's
the
the
point.
generational gap. That's that difference.
That mean we washed, we owe, right?
Yeah,
That's what.
that's the first time. We're the old guard.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
We are.
Shout out
This
to the
new
30
stuff.
something podcast.
But so Tekashi 6ix9ine and XXXTentacion and Uzi Vert and
Yeah, that's they
Dirk.
hero.
All that's the new guard. We're the old now.
And
We got to come to grips with that. Like, there's a new generation now.
right.
But I won't.
And we're
I
on the-
won't, and I'm gonna tell you why.
All right, go on.
The reason why I won't is because I appreciate and understand lyrical content. And music now doesn't have as much substance as it used to because stories are being retold. A lot of artists are running out of things to talk about. So, like Jay-Z said in the interview with David Letterman, he said 85% of lyrics are fabricated in artists today.
Yeah.
So that's why I hold Hov, I guess, at a higher realm based off of what he did. Like, it's the truth. A lot of the stuff.
What
So-
you said about how 85% of lyrics are retold. I mean, that's history's doomed to repeat itself. They make the same movies over and over again. They write the same books over and over again. Things are constantly being retold.
But what was done in the
remixed.
streets can't be created today in today's time because of technology. You can't get away with a lot of stuff that was done because them was the dark days.
But then to add to that right there, this is this new generation of social media. This didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
So this is create streaming. These records that you guys were
That's
just
another
talking
thing
about.
right there.
You know what I mean? Like the way that they're eating these days. It's still getting people who ain't up on their business and they getting exploited for it. It's gonna
Oh yeah,
always
the
be
whole
people just getting
streaming game
exploited.
has messed up the entire music industry. Like it's completely messed up. Like I was looking at the RA certifications that came out. You know, Drake's God's Plan is like 8 times platinum.
I didn't
The song
even know.
came
I
out
don't
like
believe
3
it.
months ago. And
Exactly.
so, like, how the hell is a song that came out 3 months ago already 8 times platinum?
And they're gonna eat like the technology making it to it. So
Yeah.
it goes back to what I was saying about adapting to the time.
Yeah.
Like if you stay stuck in the time, you'll be like that old uncle, the uncle at the barbecue. You be like, you know,
Yeah.
you can look at him and you can point to what era he from. You know what I mean? It's like somebody who just came out of prison and they wearing their same clothes. That you're gonna look at them like they crazy. Now you're gonna look at what these new people wearing because they wearing purses and they skirts
Rainbow color hair and
Hey, so how you think Fleece Johnson came out of prison? Because you know he's free, right?
Oh man, hold on. Hey, real quick, but it's funny that you talk about that. I was on my way home from work, and I'm just gonna say, you know, I catch the bus back, you know, from
nothing
work,
wrong with
whatever.
that.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man.
Hey, it is what it is. But anyway, I was having a conversation with a guy on the bus, and we were talking about music, and I was saying how when I was younger, I would play like Master P, and like my big homies would be like, "Oh man, take that out," and you know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? What is that you're playing? Then we fast forward about 6 years later, and my little homies was playing like Soulja Boy,
And you're like,
and
"Get
I
that
was
out
like,
of
get
here."
it out, you know. So, but what I say, and it's something that is a really important part of our podcast. That's why we do like the new music artist spotlight, is to highlight some of the younger artists that we think that other people would like. So we gonna keep on doing that. We gonna keep our ear to the streets.
We ain't gonna stay too
We
washed.
are not washed.
We are not
We are
washed.
not washed. But hey, on
I
that
might be a
note,
little washed.
no, actually, man, you are probably the least washed person here, because hey, we'll be having these new artist spotlights like Tone, you know, he'll have the artist, but like you'll also know about the artist too and stuff.
Hey, I
so,
try
man,
to keep up, man. I used to be a big music head, and you know, work gets a little crazy, but I
Yeah.
try to keep my finger on the pulse
Yeah.
from
Word.
time to time. I mean, I think we all do. We all still, you know.
you know something too about, you know, being a DJ. Hold on, real quick. Let me do this part real quick. When I first started DJing, I was probably around 23, 24. So I was like in the culture, like I was in the whole vibe with the
Where you,
music.
like, spray
So-
paint, where you like graffitiing and breakdancing too.
That was over. That was over. Hey, I'm in my 30s. I'm not in my 50s. You know what I'm
Hop
saying?
the hip to the hip with your Adidas tracksuit on.
Hey, you know what's funny, man? I think we about the same age, man. Why you
Yeah,
talking
I know.
stuff?
I'm just talking. We the same. damn
But
age.
anyway, it's like as I got older and the music was changing, it went like as far as DJing, it went from me playing the stuff that like I liked to kind of playing the stuff that like that the crowd likes,
Yeah.
and it's not the
That's
same
the
thing.
ultimate plot of the DJ.
And then it's like, you know, it's like when I would go home, I'm not playing the stuff that I was playing in the club.
Mm-hmm.
So it, you know, even as a person like me who I do try to keep my ear to the streets, there's still going to be a disconnect. But you were pointing out something, Tone. Let's get you back on the
Yeah,
mic.
literally, I want to, bring up, I guess, this topic that we're discussing right now is the respect of the elders that, we're not talking about. Like, I guess I want to get you guys' opinion about how you feel as if that the new music or the generational gap, do you feel as if it's really respected? Do you really the value? Because like Josh said, I was having a conversation with my boy Steve Craig. He had a conversation with a young kid, and he said that Lil Wayne has more relevancy to hip hop than Scarface, right?
I would agree.
And
No, I'm talking about impact and influence.
Impact, yeah, influence, right?
Lil Wayne's way more influential than Scarface. I'm saying influence. Don't get that confused with talent or skill set. I'm talking influence.
I agree.
And if you think Scarface is more influential than Lil Wayne, you're crazy. Look at all Lil Wayne's kids running around here.
I agree.
He's
But-
absolutely more influential.
but-
More influential doesn't mean
better.
Exactly.
That's why I wanted to clarify that.
But understand this though, geologically, that you might grow up in Houston, Texas, or any part of the southern area or the western southern part of the United States. Scarface and Rap-A-Lot ran everything.
Yeah.
That's a label that a lot of people forget or they write off or really don't understand if they listen to music. So I think that young kid that made that comment really didn't know his history because he wasn't
Right.
old enough.
I'm not. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, like, I don't think it was too far fetched. Like when he was saying that comment between Lil Wayne and Scarface, I think he was implying like which one had more impact to the culture and who put their influence in their staple and their.
I think Face paved the way for Lil Wayne to be who he is.
Yeah,
I just said that.
he did,
Yeah, I'm
but
sure
but
he did,
you know,
but I'm talking about influence overall.
and it's crazy because when you first said I was like no, but then as we sit there and you think about it, Lil Wayne has like influenced all these,
all of them,
like,
and all these new
all of
artists you
these
talk
are
about
Lil
right
Wayne's.
now. Kendrick Lamar,
Yeah.
Young Thug, Jake,
Yeah.
all of them say Lil Wayne is
Yeah.
one of their biggest influences.
And then
all of
you
them
know
say
to your point as far as Rap-A-Lot, yeah, I would say that Rap-A-Lot maybe influenced the No Limits, the Cash Moneys and stuff.
Oh, they absolutely did.
So there is an influence, but as far as what's out today, what's on the radio, what's on the internet, what the kids are listening to, it's a bunch of Lil Waynes.
I'm telling you, it is.
Yeah.
But
I
there
mean,
is no Lil Wayne without Rap-A-Lot.
no.
Tone,
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
He
like,
influenced
you
one,
understand
then
it.
Wayne influenced a million.
Like Master P, Cash Money, and No Limit. It had to be Rap-A-Lot first. You know what
You're
I'm saying?
talking about who's
Yeah.
first. I'm talking about who had more impact.
See what y'all
You're talking about
discussing
two
There would
different
be no
things.
impact if you weren't.
See,
If
you're
you didn't look up to
changing
Scarface.
you're changing
If
the argument.
if
You
didn't
understand
hear,
that, right?
If you didn't hear Scarface, Lil Wayne wouldn't have that idea.
Are you not hearing what the
I'm-
question is?
yeah.
Hey, if I'm in the
That's what the
factory,
question-
if I'm in the factory making the canvas and the paint, I still need artists.
No one's discrediting
Period.
the fact that Scarface and Rap-A-Lot were the cradle, that they were the starters, the originators, or whatever.
So-
We're talking about growth and impact that spread it past
I'm just saying,
that.
respect your elders.
I
Man.
mean,
Don't
who's
don't
not
get the.
respecting them?
I'm saying the story that I,
Who's not respecting
So
them?
The
listen,
youth.
listen,
The
fellas.
youth.
Listen. Let's just
They
end
don't
this-
know. It's
let's
the
end this
YouTube
right
kids.
here.
They don't know.
What y'all was saying, what the kid was saying about Wayne versus Scarface. Yeah, Lil Wayne is more impactful because in these days, as far
It
as
goes with that question.
but the thing what Tone was hitting on earlier, we come from a generation, an era where music was regional. You know what I mean? I'm from Detroit, so a lot of what was going on down south way back in the day, unless you were well traveled, you
Wasn't
didn't
getting
hear a
it.
lot of that
You
stuff.
had no clue.
You know what I mean? I heard Bone because Cleveland
2 hours away.
Yeah, it's right.
2.5
Ohio's right next to Michigan. You know what I mean? But if like someone like I remember watching a Jay-Z interview before, and how, because Scarface is one of his favorite rappers, but in the early 90s he was traveling to Houston, Texas, all of those areas. So he's hearing that stuff, and then it became a generation once we got to college, when social media, well, when the internet came about, and then when social media start popping, there is no region anymore. The internet is the region. Everybody sound the exact same.
And
that's
when that
why,
happened,
you know what I mean?
that's when Chopped and Screwed came on the scene.
But Lil Wayne was in the midst of that era.
He was.
You know what I mean? He was. That's when he would start talking about he was the best rapper alive.
Yeah.
The internet was popping. You know what I mean?
Fellas, I think three out of the four of us agree we're not changing Tone's mind tonight.
Oh,
we
he
ain't changing his
misunderstand.
mind.
Like,
We
I
ain't
don't
changing his
understand what
mind.
he's not getting here.
Yeah, because you was the one that posed. You was the one that said the question originally, right?
No, I'm saying just you got to respect the elders.
Oh,
you
okay.
got to
No,
respect the elders.
listen, all that to
You gotta
say,
respect the
we
ones that
respect
paved
the
the
elders.
way.
Here on the 30-something podcast, we respect our elders. If anything, maybe this newer generation, that might be one of the biggest
No, I
disconnections.
challenge the younger generation to understand and know and do the research and the background checks of the artists and where they come from.
Oh, yeah.
Just go through the backwoods.
'Cause
I
you had,
challenge
like-
the youth. I just challenge you.
Because you had like Lil Yachty when he came out and said, "Oh, I ain't never heard a Biggie song in my life, and I don't care for Biggie and Tupac. I'm there, whatever."
So,
whatever.
Man, you know what? Hey, listen, I've been trying to wrap up this show, but but no, Tone, we disagree because like even for me, like I love music, but some of the music to me, and I don't care how people feel about this, some of the hip hop that came out in the 80s, I thought was just whack. Like literally, like by the time the 90s came, and especially with the West Coast, you had like the Dre beats, and then later when Master P came with his bounce, then you had Cash Money and No Limit. I'm not trying to listen to that old 80s where they didn't even have some of the music didn't even have like melodies and stuff, and everybody's rapping like a hip. I'm not listening to rappers to delight. Yeah. So I'm saying I have respect for them. I understand the history, but at the end of the day, if you would have asked me when I was, I don't know, 15 years old, who was the most impactful rapper, I was probably gonna say Tupac, because after that you had the Master P's, you had the C Murders, you had even later the Ja Rules, the DMX, a lot of them, and I'm not saying that DMX by any way took anything from Pac. What I'm saying is you had a lot of Tupac-like rappers, for whether they were mocking him or they just reminded you of him.
Yeah.
So
And
so if you were gonna ask me about 15, 20 years ago, I would say Pac. I could understand how a kid today would say Wayne.
And I think
Do you
probably
think
the
a kid today would? Oh, my fault. I didn't mean to cut you
No, you're
off.
good.
A kid would, because what is a kid today? Because a kid today would have to be someone like under 10, right? Or 10 and under.
I call it under 16.
Yeah,
That would be
I don't
10,
even think they would even say Lil Wayne, because Lil Wayne really haven't been popping in
But
almost 10 years.
I
You
think
know
to
what I
them,
mean?
he's their old head. Lil Wayne is this generation's old
Man,
head.
I think their old heads, the little kids, is like will be like a Chief Keef or somebody like that. The
Yeah.
generation after
Lil-
Lil
Lil-
Wayne.
I thought Chief Keef
Lil
was a
Durk,
part of
Chief
this.
Keef, yeah.
He's the next generation.
Because I know a lot of
after
these
Wayne,
newer
you know what I mean?
artists,
Sosa,
yeah.
they love Chief Keef. They
That's-
consider him their
That's the king
their
of them.
influence.
Because that drill
But guess
music.
who? Guess who influenced Chief Keef? Guess
Well,
who's
yeah, I
is
know
Wayne.
Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne is one, but what I'm saying is, the generation it has passed. It's a new generation now. You know, we a couple of generations removed. Like seriously, you know what I mean?
So how long? Okay, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
But to bring in Tone's point, it is essential in order to move forward, you have to respect your past, and hip hop is no different. We have to respect where hip hop has come from, so we could know where we're going, and no one's not discrediting what happened in the past. I think there is a general respect of the past in hip hop.
And that's how powerful hip hop is. So, hey, shout out to hip hop.
Absolutely. So this was episode 9 of the 30-something podcast. On the behalf of Josh, Tone, and Khalil, we'd like to thank you guys for listening. And we out. 30-something.
Yeah.
Peace, y'all.